Then let's go to the news updates. As an inferno brought pain and agony to residents of Onitsha, the commercial city in Anambra State. The State Police Command confirmed that the fire started from a petrol tanker that had an accident around the upper Iweka axis of the city. For more than an hour that the inferno had spread across the city, there was no firefighter or emergency responder at the scene. Ochanga, the second largest market in the town, was razed as the fire burned through dozens of residential buildings and commercial premises. And 100 vehicles were also touched as the fire moved with the petrol flowing down the road. Now, police patrol teams have cordoned off the area to prevent hoodlums from taking advantage of looting, while efforts still ongoing to put off the fire as of yesterday. Now, meanwhile, a yet-to-be-identified woman and her baby caught up by the inferno and burned beyond recognition were rushed to Toronto Hospital, but certified dead by a medical doctor while receiving treatment. The level of loss cannot be put together at this time, but there are fears that casualty may be more.
Laden had an accident on upper Iweka and caught fire and emptied its content to the gutter, which spread to all the surrounding buildings in upper Iweka, and some were caught in fire. And of course, the famous Onitsha market is affected in the inferno. For now, there's no confirmed loss of life, but as the investigation continues, we get the results.
Well, let's move away from that now. There is no agreement yet between the Labour and the federal government as negotiations enters the third day. Negotiations to continue after 8 hours of meeting in the early hours of today failed to reach a truce. Negotiations between the federal government and organised Labour over implementation of their new national minimum wage is still on, and all parties are to resume deliberations by 7 p.m. today. Labour and Employment Minister Chris Ngige says a subcommittee of the negotiating team has been mandated to look through some documents and come up with agreeable figures. The subcommittee is to feed the larger house by 7 this evening, after which deliberations are billed to be concluded. The NLC president, Ayuba admits that some concessions have been made, but will not disclose details until talks are concluded. It says states that have kick-started strikes do so after the breakdown in negotiations with their respective governments. Now, TVC News gathers that Labour has shifted ground from 29% consequential adjustment demand for grade levels 7 to 14 to 25% and 20% from 24% for those on levels 15 to 17. But the government says it is not feasible.
The drums of war, the sound have gotten less now, so that Nigerians can relax and do their business. The investors also will not feel that their investments are threatened because of the presumed threat of strike. We have not gotten to the final destination, we are not bettered there, but I do know that after today's meeting, we should be able to dot the T's and I's and sign our agreement.
Well, another Nigerian entrepreneur has been killed in South Africa over an alleged business disagreement with a client. This comes just weeks after the meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and his counterpart, Cyril Ramaphosa, where they renewed their commitment to ending xenophobia. The Nigerian Union in South Africa says the man identified as Ikenna Otugu was stabbed by unknown assailants in Epangeni on Tuesday. The 41-year-old native of Nimo in Njokoka local government area of Anambra State died on the way to the hospital. He is survived by a 9-year-old son, and at least 490 Nigerians have fled South Africa over the xenophobic attacks. Noise pollution has continued to be a menace in Lagos despite a series of government-sponsored campaign against it. But as part of efforts to curtail noise pollution, officers of the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency held a sensitization program for residents of Owoshoki And there, the general manager of LASEPA, Adebola Shabi, for several hours admonished Lagos residents to desist from creating noise through domestic, religion and commercial activities. Now, according to him, noise pollution reduces life expectancy, and within 3 weeks, LASEPA would begin to invoke its constitutional powers to discipline offenders. And now in Ethiopia, outside Nigeria, the central bank is confident that the country will receive $1 billion from the World Bank over the next fiscal year after the government announced a new 3-year economic program. The Washington-based lender in October last year approved $1.2 billion for the government's agenda to liberalize one of the world's fastest growing economies and attract more foreign capital. National Bank of Ethiopia Governor Yenaga Desi says the financing envelope depends on reallocation processes within the World Bank. Now, Ethiopia last month unveiled its largest plan known as Homegrown Economic Reform. And the future of Boris Johnson's Brexit deal hangs in the balance as EU officials say the outcome of talks should be known by the end of the day. The EU's Donald Tusk says it would have bet on a deal 24 hours ago, but doubts had appeared on the UK side. The Prime Minister is trying to get Tory Brexiters and Democratic Unionists on board for his revised plan for Northern Ireland. He's in a race against time to get a deal before Thursday's crucial EU Council meeting and likens the talks to climbing Mount Everest. And that's the news update for this hour. The weather forecast is up next.